All right, hey guys, just want to do a quick video on air filter inspection and replacement. We're going to use my 2005 Pontiac Grand Prix for the demonstration. We're going to be opening up the air box, taking a look inside the air box, doing an inspection. Replacing an air filter is more than just taking a filter out and slamming a new one in. You should always inspect the duct work, the air box itself, inside the air box. There's no sense in putting a brand new filter in a box that's stuffed full of leaves or, a critter nest or something in there. So we're going to take a look at that and show you how to do that and check an air filter and see if it needs replacement. All right, hang tight. All right, guys, I have a new air filter sitting right here ready to go for this demonstration. Most of the time when you're doing a lubrication service or a multi-point inspection, you're not necessarily just going to grab a filter and replace it. You always have to get customer permission. Whether it needs it or not, they still have to give you permission to be able to replace the parts on their car. In this case, my car is due for an air filter. No matter what it looks like in there, it's getting an air filter because it's due by mileage and time. It hasn't had one in a long time, so it's just due to have one. With that said, under a normal circumstance, you're going to do a multi-point inspection. You're going to pull that air filter out of that box. You're going to inspect the filter closely, determine if it needs replacement, if it's marginal, or if it's good to go. You are also going to inspect inside the air box, the air duct housing, and everything else. So I'll get you turned around here on the video, and we'll go ahead and start taking this open to take a look, all right? All right, so first of all, I'm just going to take a quick look at the air box and the air ducting. Looks like the PCV vent tube is in. Nothing looks cracked. You could even go ahead and remove this cover and take a closer look up in there. Everything looks pretty decent on this. Always pull these apart and take a quick look at them. These accordions sometimes can crack in between, and I've seen vacuum leaks in between here. And when they're together like this, they don't look cracked. But when you open it up, you'll see they're cracked. Clamps are all in place. Mass airflow looks good. So this one's pretty easy. Always refer to ProDemand or whatever service manual you're using in the shop that you're working at, whether that be All Data, Identifix, OEM service manual. Refer to the service manual if you're not sure how the air filter comes out, and also always refer to the service manual for the maintenance requirements or the maintenance intervals for these things. All right, back in the day, we used to replace these things way more often than we do now. If you look at a lot of maintenance intervals, they're 20, sometimes 30,000 miles or more before they recommend an air filter. In my case, I still try to stay pretty old school. I usually replace the air filter about every 12 to 15,000 miles just because we kind of live in a dustier area. We have road salt and stuff in the wintertime. There's some dirt roads and gravel roads around us. So I usually go around the 12 to 15,000 mark no matter what. But let's take a look at this one and see what we got. I'm going to pull these off. I'll try and prop you guys up here. Go ahead and pull that lid off. Pull the air filter out. I'm going to grab a light. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to look inside. I always take a look in here, make sure the mass airflow sensor screen, if it has one down here, make sure that it's not cracked or clogged up with leaves or anything dirty. Everything looks okay. I also take a peek down inside the air box. And as you can see, when I just did that, I don't know if you guys can see or not, but some leaves fell out. I always want to make sure that there's nothing in there because remember, on the front side of this air box right here, where the air is coming, where the air comes in, let's get you propped up, where the air comes in here behind the headlight, anything can blow in there. Dirt, leaves, dust, all kinds of stuff. Little critters can get up in there and they tend to store their nuts, their acorns and things like that, make little nests in there. And then the air filter is behind it. So you always want to check, before the air filter, make sure that it's cleaned out because there's no sense putting a brand new air filter in a dirty air box. All right, so I'm going to take a quick look. Everything looks pretty decent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab an air gun and I'm going to blow that out real quick. All right, guys, nothing fancy here, just your typical air nozzle. I'm going to take this in here and blow some of this dirt out. But a good tip is I like to take a clean rag and cover the air inlet with it. Just do not forget that that's in there. We don't want to blow any of this dirt into the mass airflow sensor and into the air ducting and up to by the throttle body into the engine. So if it's easy enough, a lot of times like this one, in most cases, I probably just take this clamp off, pull this box out of the way, because it's easy enough. Some cars nowadays, they are not the easiest to change an air filter. You have to remove other components, maybe the battery's in the way, a fuse box, a brace or something is in the way. They're just hard to get to, a lot harder than they used to be. So you want to limit as much as you take apart on those. So I'm going to show you an example of a way that you can be careful about making sure you don't get any dirt in the engine. So we're going to cover this up. Take my blow gun here and just pull my rag out. Take another look down in here. Everything looks pretty good. I don't see too much dirt or anything in there. I am going to get my rag real quick and just wipe on here real quick. Saw a little dust there. We're in good shape. Now, taking a look at the air filter, we want to look at in between these pleats here and see how dirty they are. We want to look at the backside. We're looking to see if the gaskets are torn, like this one. There's an example of a bad gasket that's torn. That could be creating an air leak pass there and letting dirt go past it. So definitely needs a replacement no matter what. I've seen the centers of these chewed out by mice or chipmunks or whatever critters that had gotten into the air box, and it caused lean codes and check engine light to come on. So always inspect all that real good. A good rule of thumb way of checking how much dirt is in these air filters is the light trick. I like to just go ahead and take a light and hold a light up to it. Some guys say just hold it up to the light in the ceiling, which I'm doing now. That's a little bit of a better scenario because I can barely see any light through that, and that's a good inclination that it's time for replacement. A lot of these LED lights are super bright, so if you're putting them right up against it, you're probably going to see some light, but as you can see, I don't see even light all the way across there. All right, let's take a look at a new one. Look at that. You see how you see nice, even light all the way across that new one? So the light trick is a good trick to check and see if it's time for replacement. And it is for this one. So this guy right here, in the garbage, all right? New one's up. Make sure everything looks nice. It's not torn out of the box. And we're gonna go ahead and just toss this right back in there. All right, hang tight. All right, so now that we've inspected the air ducting, any of the hoses that go to the air ducting, make sure all the connectors are in. We've got the box cleaned out and inspected pretty well. We're gonna go ahead and put the new filter in. So make sure you put it in the right way. All right, so this way the gasket's gonna kind of show you which way it goes in. It's gonna slide in there, sit right in this groove. And you want the mesh on the backside because these pleats are going to help filter out the dirt. All right. Push this out of the way. Make sure it's in there. And down at the bottom, you guys can't see on this video, but down at the bottom, this air box, they usually have some sort of tabs that stick down and they latch into some sort of grooves. This one has little grooves all the way across the bottom. So we have to make sure the air filter's in all the way. And then that these grooves actually lock in. All right, and you can always tell because if they lock in, the bottom won't pull out. I'm gonna lean this back over, push our clips in, just like that, our air filter's replaced and good to go. All right guys, so now the air filter's replaced, one last thing we need to do, we always need to start the car up and make sure that everything's good to go. I don't hear any vacuum leaks. I don't hear any weird noises. Car's running good. We'll double check and make sure there's no check engine lights on after we drive the vehicle out of the shop. But other than that, that's all there is to it. You guys, a lot of times these services are pretty simple and some cars are a little more difficult. That's why I said always refer to your service manual to make sure you're following the procedures for your specific vehicle. This is a service that almost anybody can do, whether you plan on doing this for a career or not. This is something that anybody who owns a car, in my opinion, should know how to do because it can save you a couple bucks. If you're a technician, little jobs like that can add up at the end of the day. that might pay 2 or 3/10 of an hour flat rate in a shop. But as you can see, that's 12, 15 minutes they might pay you to do that. And we did it in a demonstration for class in less than that amount of time. So in about 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, I could have got paid for 15 minutes worth of time in the flat rate world. So it's overlooked. You're amazed at how many cars are out there that if you pull the air cleaner out, they're plugged solid, they're dirty. You guys got to remember, when that air filter is clogged up, it's like trying to run a marathon wearing a cloth mask. So it's 2020. We wear masks everywhere when we're out in public or around other people and can't social distance right now with the pandemic. You guys know as well as I do, if you're real active and running around and doing things, you have a cloth mask on, it's a little harder to breathe and you get a little more fatigued than you would normally. So the car is doing the same thing. If the car can't breathe, remember, that engine is just a big air pump. It's got to get air in and get air out to make power. So if it's struggling to suck the air in, it's choking it out. So that car is going to do what you do. It's going to get fatigued. It's going to work harder and use more energy. So your fuel mileage is going to suffer with a dirty air cleaner. You may throw check engine lights depending on how bad it is. See some rich codes because it's not getting enough air. It just depends on the situation, but it's a very commonly overlooked service that people never check anymore. So make sure you check your filters. Make sure you check all your customers' air filters because they don't check them, and do their car a favor and get it running in tip-top shape. Most customers will appreciate it when they see 1 to 2 miles a gallon more fuel mileage out on the highway after an air filter replacement. All right? Thanks, guys, for watching. You guys can go out and practice your skills in the shop after seeing this video. Get your task sheets. Give me a sign off on them. Good luck, guys. Wortman out.